Here's some helpful advice if you ever need to replace a toilet. Repair the tank parts, repair the gasket, or replace the wax ring.
Turn off the water supply and flush the toilet to empty the tank. Sop out any of the remaining water in the tank and bowl with a sponge or wet vac. To remove the toilet tank, use a large, adjustable, open-ended wrench to loosen the nut between the toilet tank and its water supply. You might need to hold the fill valve inside the tank to keep it from turning. In a two-part toilet, the tank is usually held to the bowl by 2 bolts. Using a flathead screwdriver, hold the screw still inside the tank while you loosen the nut underneath the tank with a wrench. With the bolts off, you can take the tank off the bowl. The toilet bowl is fastened to the floor with bolts and nuts hidden under the trim caps. To remove the bowl, pry off the trim caps and remove the nuts. Wiggle the bowl to break the wax seal between the floor and the toilet. Have a tarp nearby so you can set the toilet down right after removing it. Stuff a rag in the floor opening. It keeps sewer gas out of the house and stops parts and tools from falling into the soil pipe while you work. Clean up old putty and wax from the floor and toilet flange. A broken flange, or one that's too low below the finished bathroom floor, can lead to leaks around the base of the toilet. To fix a broken flange, install a reinforcement ring. It screws in place over or under the old one like a brace. If the screws in the old flange holes are loose, use a flange like this. The tabs let you install the screws into the new surface. But if the tabs bump the ridges on the bottom of your toilet, use the type without the tabs.
When a new bathroom floor is installed on top of an old one, the toilet flange may be too low to seal with an ordinary wax ring. Now, if it's more than 1/4 of an inch below the finished floor, it's too low and you're going to need to install an extender ring.
The toilet bowl gasket seals the gap between the toilet and the floor flange. Water damage on the floor or ceiling underneath the toilet are signs that it needs to be replaced. There are several types available, but they're installed the same way. First, let the wax type sit at room temperature before installation so the wax is pliable, and mark the position of the bolts where you can see them from above. You only get one chance to set the wax seal right, and it's hard to line up the toilet and bolts while you're holding the bowl. Be sure to remove the rag you stuffed into the soil drain. Stick the ring onto the bottom of the toilet or over the floor flange. Lower the toilet bowl onto the bolts. Push down on the toilet to set the wax ring and force the toilet all the way to the floor. Don't lift or tilt the bowl while making adjustments, or you'll have to start over with a new wax ring. Drop a washer and nut over the hold-down bolts. Then hand tighten the closet nuts. If you use a wrench, you could over-tighten the bolts and crack the bowl. Use shims to even out any minor wobbles, then caulk around the base of the toilet. Here's a tip about choosing a wax ring. The basic no-frills wax ring is a tried and true item. But if you like some extra reassurance, you may want to opt for one of these features. A reinforced core helps prevent wax from settling over time, leading to gaps in the seal. An attached flange makes it easy to align the wax ring. Extra thick wax rings help fill the gap in the floor flange below the finished floor. Synthetic gaskets are waxless. They can be repositioned if you set the toilet wrong. A rubber gasket between the tank and the bowl seals the flush valve opening and keeps the tank from leaking. Place it on the bottom of the tank with the beveled or tapered side down. Then lower the tank onto the bowl. The tank is held to the bowl by 2 tank mounting bolts. They drop in from the top of the tank and come out on the underside of the bowl. Tighten one bolt a little, then the other, and go back and forth until they're hand tight. If you tighten one bolt all the way first, the tank may end up off kilter, or the bowl may crack when you go to tighten the second bolt into place. Inside the tank, the lever, fill valve, flush valve, and flapper control the flushing and refilling action of the toilet. Traditional or water-saving valves are simple to install, but the instructions are a little different depending on the brand you choose. Watch our other videos on tank repairs for specific instructions. To finish up, connect the water supply line to the bottom of the fill valve and turn on the water. If you notice any leaks, tighten the bolts at that connection. Here are some helpful tips that may come in handy. Make sure you buy a toilet with a rough-in measurement that matches what you've got. Measure the distance from the wall to the bolts holding the toilet to the floor. It's usually 12 or 15 inches. When removing an old toilet, leftover water catches in the trap and can spill out when you move it. Avoid the mess with a specialty product that turns the water to gel. If the Johnny bolts won't budge, spray them with penetrating oil. If that doesn't work, you can cut them off with a hacksaw or multi-tool. You can also use a hacksaw to trim them just above the bolts if they're too long to fit under the trim caps. And always make sure you follow manufacturer's recommended safety precautions and instructions for the products you use.
For more helpful tips and advice, visit your neighborhood Ace and find us online at acehardware.com.